the news. Now, in the first story, YDP Agong, Sultan Abdullah today has expressed disappointment by the statement made in the special parliament recently that the government has revoked the 6 emergency ordinances introduced during the state of emergency declaration period. Now, the King was referring to the statement made by a minister in the Prime Minister's department, Datuk Sri Taqiyuddin Hassan, who had revealed during the special sitting that all of the ordinances were revoked on the 21st of July. Now, in a statement today, Controller of the Royal Household of Istana Negara, Datuk Ahmad Fadil Shamsuddin, said Article 150 subsection 2B, which is read together with the article of 150 subsection 3 of the Federal Constitution, stipulated that the powers to amend and revoke the ordinances falls under the prerogative of the King. Now, next, the Parliament sitting was temporarily adjourned after a statement by Istana Negara accused the government of going against the Constitution. It is meant to resume at 2:30 p.m. Now, the temporary adjournment was announced by Deputy Speaker Datuk Muhammad Rashid Hasnon in response to calls by MPs following the statement by the palace. Now, next story, the government will table a motion to increase the country's statutory debt limit from 60% as a ratio of the economy during the next parliamentary meeting. In his speech in Parliament this morning, Finance Minister Tengku Zafrul says the government is in the process of fiscal consolidation. The debt level is already at 56.8% of the GDP as at the end of June. Earlier in his speech, Tengku Zafrul said the government announced 8 stimulus packages since the pandemic struck the country, with the biggest national budget announced in the year 2021, and that amount is 322.5 billion ringgit. Next, Employees Provident Fund or EPF members who applied for i-Citra will start receiving their first payment from next Tuesday. Finance Minister Datuk Sri Zafrul Abdul Aziz says about 4 million EPF members would benefit from this scheme. In his speech during a Parliament special sitting on the country's stimulus packages and financial aids, Zafrul says EPF has set up a hotline to allow members to seek more explanations to this scheme. Now, here's everything that you need to know regarding the i-Citra withdrawal scheme. I'll give you a breakdown of it. Maximum amount of 5,000 ringgit can be withdrawn, and payment will be spread out over 5 months in 1,000 ringgit installments per month. Now, unlike previous withdrawal schemes, i-Citra allows for withdrawal from both account 1 as well as account 2. Now, a minimum of 100 ringgit is required in your account after withdrawal, and a minimum value of 50 ringgit for each payment. Now, members who had previously applied for i-Lestari and i-Zina can still apply for i-Citra. So if you're wondering whether you're eligible for i-Citra, every EPF member aged 55 and below can apply for i-Citra if you have at least 150 ringgit in your EPF accounts at the time of application. However, members will need to keep a minimum of 100 ringgit in their account 1 after withdrawal to maintain their EPF member status and qualify for death and disability benefits. Now, when will you receive your i-Citra payment? The payment will be spread over 5 months, starting from August 2021 to February 2022. When and where can you apply for your i-Citra withdrawal scheme? These applications can be made from the 12th of July 2021 onwards on this link, i-Citra.kwsp.gov.my. Next, Malaysia's Tech Month 2021, or what we call the NTM 2021, from today until the 30th of August, is expected to bring 50 million ringgit worth of opportunities to the country as it draws more than 20,000 participants from over 50 countries. Now, according to Communications and Multimedia Minister Datuk Abdullah, the month-long virtual event organized by the ministry together with Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, or MDEC, is part of a massive concerted effort in line with the Malaysia Digital Economy Blueprint, or what they call the My Digital, and the National Fourth Industrial Revolution Policy to develop Malaysia into a high-tech nation by the year 2030. The minister said 40 programs across the month will explore key topics and issues surrounding Malaysia's digital economy, including Islamic fintech, the agriculture technology sector, agri-tech, artificial intelligence, AI, and the Internet of Things, or IoT, as well as drone technology, e-commerce, of course, and the digital creative content industry. Now, the sacrifices and contributions of armed forces and veterans are never forgotten, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic's trying times. Now, realizing their plight, a non-government organization answered an SOS call from members of the Malaysian Armed Forces Veterans Association Federal Territory Branch. Alliance for Safe Community Chairman Tan Sri Nilankai says the call for help was made by Association President Brigadier General retired Dr. Pahlawan Shamsuddin Abbas to aid his stricken members. And for this, we're joined on the show by Tan Sri Nilankai himself. He's, of course, a social activist. Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining us, Tan Sri. How are you doing?
Yeah, fine. Thank you, Elane.
Thank you for coming on board with us. Now, I'll go straight to the first question. Of course, your NGO made similar contributions to the B40 group and health workers through the first MCO, Movement Control Order, and we thank you for this. But earlier this week, you were at the office of the Armed Forces Veterans Association to hand out 300 boxes of food essentials on behalf of your NGO. Can you give us a snapshot of your NGO and the work you're doing at this point of time?
Well, the Alliance for Safe Community, or in Malay we call it Ikatan Community Selamat, is an NGO that was set up to educate the public on all matters concerning safety and health. Its main objective is to help communitize safety and health issues. But very recently, we were approached by the Veterans Association of the Armed Forces from Kuala Lumpur, where they approached us in the form of an SOS appeal to help provide some food boxes to their members. So I brought this appeal up to our executive committee, and we decided that although basically we are not a welfare organization, but in view of the fact that we are facing very difficult times arising from the pandemic, so we decided that we wanted to raise some funds amongst our members to buy these food boxes for the association. So we regard that as a calling for help, and we responded very appropriately, and we managed to deliver 300 food boxes to the president of the Veteran Association of the Armed Forces from the Federal Territory. So I would like to say once again that this is something which we are very pleased to do, because this is something that the people need, especially those who have been very badly affected by the pandemic. And we were told that almost about 60% of the members of the association, they belong to the B40 group. So in view of this, we thought it was very timely for us to do something. So we made a little sacrifice among our members, and we thought that it was a very good deed that we managed to undertake this request from the association.
Now, Tan Sri, tell us, in a recent article you said that the government needs to look for long-term solutions to assist the homeless. Now, what do you see as a possible short-term and long-term wins, Tan Sri?
Well, when we talk about those who are severely affected by the pandemic, I think we will obviously know that those who are mainly affected are those who have lost their jobs, who have lost their income. And of course, there are also those who belong to the M40 group, But because of the pandemic and the hardship that we are going through, they have also joined the B40 group. So basically, I would say that the most important need at the moment is to put food on the table, putting food on the table, and this is what we actually did for the veterans. Now, I would say that this is the time, I would say, for all those who are in a position to help, a position to assist, for them to come forward to assist in any way possible. One, of course, as I said, is to help in the purchase of food, and other daily the necessities which they require. And then another way is that we should also help them in those cases where they have lost their means to rent a home. As far as I'm aware, there are many of those who belong to the low income group who have been renting, accommodation, from the landlord. And of course, when they have lost their jobs, they are not able to cover the rental. So they have been asked, to leave, And I would say that these people are indeed not very kind to them. And those who have been asked to leave their rented accommodation, I was told that they are out in the streets. They are sleeping along the 5-footways. They are sleeping under the bridges. They are sleeping along the corridors of buildings and so on. So I would say that this is something which is very unfortunate. And I think this is the time, as I said, for the social welfare department to really go all out and assist in whatever way they can.
Thank you so much, Samsuri, for sharing your thoughts on that. And that's all the time that we have for this segment. We hope that there are more people who will come forth and lend a helping hand in these difficult times. Thank you so much, Samsuri.
Thank you.
Now we move on to the next story. PLUS has launched a campaign themed Satu Pembelian SERIBU HARAPAN. This is as part of its continuous efforts to assist its rest and service area or R&R's local community business operators whose businesses have been severely impacted by the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the Satu Pembelian SERIBU HARAPAN campaign aims to invite highway customers who have the permission to travel to support the local community business operators as they pit stop at the R&Rs along their journey. Now, to give us a better perspective, I'm joined by SYED MOMAMMED. He is the Head Strategic Stakeholder Engagement of PLUS Highway. Hi, SYED. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Elane. Thank you for having PLUS on this call. Actually, it's so coincidental that Tan Sri Lamtai talked about the heart and helping out people. And this is what we in PLUS are looking at, right? We know the pandemic have impacted livelihoods, right? And especially small traders. And small traders all across the nation, it has been impacted financially, right? While PLUS is helping its small traders at the R&Rs with waivers and financial assistance and all that, we know together we can make a bigger difference. And that's why we've come up with this campaign called Satu Pembelian SERIBU HARAPAN, because we know those who have the permit and permission to travel along our highways, the essential goods transporter, the frontliners, if you do make a stop at our PLUS R&Rs, do buy one packet of nasi lemak, a bihun, a kopi o, because that single purchase gives 1,000 hopes to the families' livelihoods of not only the traders, stall operators, but as well as the entire ecosystem. So that is one part of the heart that PLUS is taking good care of its people, of its fence line community. The other part is we've just been granted the independent public vaccination center status at our Persada HQ.
Right, so that was the one that, the next question that I had. Now, how is PLUS Highway doing, and what are the new initiatives that you have planned and are planning to roll out? And you were just mentioning that you are now a integrated public vaccination center. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so, this was a mission by our Managing Director, Dato' Azman Ismail. He's always believed in how we can play a role in helping the nation come back stronger. one of the ways of recovery is immunization, right? And we're very proud to be able to be given this by CITF, by the Ministry of Health, that our capacity at Persada, which is the first highway headquarters to actually house a vaccination center, we're able to take in 2,000 doses a day of Pfizer, right? So what we're asking for the rakyat now is please check your MySejahtera regularly. We would like to see you at our Persada Plus to get your first vaccination, and after that, your second vaccination, right? And I think it's been ramping up very well with Protect Health. I see there's a light at the end of the menorah tunnel in Plus, so to speak.
Oh wow, yes, but I think this is really a really great initiative. A lot of premises are also coming on board, and a lot of organizations are coming on board to ramp up the vaccination status. And it looks like we are doing a great job. We're on track to hitting the target to create, sort of like a larger population that has been vaccinated. Now, with regards to, of course, let me bring it back to the highway usage as well. Now, with regards to using highways, what are changes being made in the new, or what we call the next normal, as we learn more about this pandemic? Do you have any SOPs or specific advice as we look towards resuming the travel?
Okay, I think the term new normal is now defunct. It is the normal. And safety is always been Plus priority, right? So what we have inserted and infused into Plus is, of course, the safety SOPs when you're out in a public space, and Plus is a public space. So it's very, very important now to actually double face mask. If you're not using a cloth and surgical face mask to double face mask, get a KN95 or a KF94, because that really protects you. And I think one of the things that a lot of people don't realize, because face mask is always in your face, they forget sanitizing their hands and washing their hands regularly, right? And the other thing, of course, physical distancing. So while you're coming back into the highway, and if you would like to support the Satu Pembelian SERIBU Harapan, we've also got a app in our Plus app where there is a order di sini, a pre-order function. So you can actually pre-order your food and then take it away from the R&R. So you don't have to make that long stop, but you can still support our traders.
Now that sounds great. At least that is an alternative initiative in order for you to expedite your process. You don't have to stop for long, reducing your risk of exposure as well, and being able to still consume, your favorite items from the R&R. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, SYED, and we look forward to more people being able to contribute back to society. And if you are actually traveling on the highway, do make that stop. As you mentioned, Satu Pembelian SERIBU Harapan. And that was, of course, SYED who was talking to us about the Satu Pembelian SERIBU Harapan campaign from Plus Highway. If you want more information, please visit the www.plus.com.my and follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for more information. Now, moving on, recommendations on mixing COVID-19 vaccine brands. The third jab to be known only next week, says Kari, as he tells the Parliament. Now, the Institute of Medical Research, or IMR, will present its findings on the feasibility of heterologous vaccinations, or the use of different COVID-19 vaccine manufacturers for each dose next week. Mostly Minister KJ says any recommendation on the need for another booster dose of the COVID-19 vaccine will also be known by then. Also on the same topic, the 2-dose Sinovac COVID-19 vaccine will remain as part of the National COVID-19 Immunization Program, or NIP program, vaccine portfolio. KJ, in his winding up speech in the Parliament yesterday, explained that the government has completed its procurement from Sinovac, but stressed that it can still get more supply if it is needed. KJ says there are people who cannot take Pfizer due to allergies or anaphylaxis, and the government will maintain a low stockpile of Sinovac for those who are not suitable to receive Pfizer. Next, Putrajaya suspends COVID-19 jabs for Malaysian adolescents after the US reports heart complications for its teens receiving Pfizer. Still with that on KJ, the country is stopping its plans to inoculate those aged between 12 and 17 against the COVID-19 for the time being. The decision to suspend the vaccination for adolescents here was based on reports of cardiac-related side effects among teenage recipients of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccines in the US. And next, the widening interval between Pfizer vaccine doses may affect protection against COVID-19 variants, Carrie explains amid calls to expand coverage. Now, KJ says experts have cautioned against stretching the interval between the first and second doses of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine beyond 4 weeks. There were genuine concerns over the efficacy rate of protection accorded by just a single dose of the Pfizer vaccine against the aggressive Delta variant of the virus. Now, for Pfizer, they have thought of extending the interval of dosing, and they're suggesting that they extend it to 6 to 8 weeks. Now, there's only one issue to that. Before the spread of the variant of concern, which is Delta, they did agree to extend 6 to 8 weeks for Pfizer, but with the Delta variant, it is found that the efficacy rate of one dose of Pfizer is only about 13%. And next, KJ says negotiations have begun for the 2022's COVID-19 vaccine supply. This includes Pfizer's new line. And KJ says as part of his future-proofing effort, the government has begun negotiations with major vaccine manufacturers to secure supplies for 2022. The government has engaged all major vaccine manufacturers to secure vaccine supplies for the coming year. This includes Pfizer, explaining that negotiation will also include the company's new vaccine that is meant for children and booster shots. Now, in our next story, Finance Minister Datuk Sri Tengku Zafrul says Malaysia's economic fundamentals are still strong and its growth prospect for the medium term is still bright. Now, among the issues raised by the members of Parliament during the special Parliament meeting were whether investors' confidence was going to be affected following the COVID-19 pandemic in the country. Foreign investors have also have the confidence and belief in the strength of the country's institutions, wherein the FDIs have shown an increasing trend. Next, the Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Ministry is to make COVID-19 vaccination mandatory for all retail workers. Now, the Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs, or KPDNHEP, is in the final phase of making vaccination of all employees in the retail sector compulsory. Now, this is one of the preconditions for approval of companies to resume operation during the National Recovery Plan, or PPN period. And next, Olympics update. We stunned Indonesian pair to advance to the last four. As Tokyo Olympics hits into day 7 today, badminton will surely be the focus of all Malaysian sports fans. Today, national top men's doubles pair, Aaron Chia, So We Eek, advanced to the semi-finals in spectacular fashion as they stunned Indonesian top seeds Kevin Sanjaya Sukamuljo and Marcus Fernaldi Gideon at the Tokyo Olympics. Now, this is Aaron Week's first ever win over the Indonesians in 8 meetings since their first encounter in the 2018 Malaysia Open. Congratulations to our Malaysian team. Now, Australian Stubby Cook wins men's 200 meters breaststroke gold. Today, Isaac Stubby Cook of Australia won the men's 200 meter breaststroke at the Tokyo Olympics, his first gold in an international event. Now, the 22-year-old who qualified first from the semi-finals touched home first in an Olympic record time of 2 minutes 6.38 seconds. Congratulations. Now we'll move on to some international news in brief. Pedro Castillo, the primary school teacher who became Peru's president. After a long and tense election process, Pedro Castillo has been sworn in as Peru's president, and his victory has shaken the political and business elite in a deeply polarized country hit hard by the pandemic. And previously, he was a rural school teacher and he is 51 years old. Next, Sydney posts record daily COVID-19 cases and police powers extended to enforce a lockdown. The Delta outbreak in Australia's biggest city, Sydney, grew by 239 cases today, the highest daily rise since the pandemic started, forcing authorities to increase police powers to shut down businesses not complying with lockdown measures. And next, Japan's daily COVID-19 cases topped 9,000 for the first time amid the Olympics. Japan's daily total of COVID-19 cases topped 9,000 for the first time yesterday, with a surge in infections in Tokyo casting a pall over the Olympics and putting pressure on the government to take stronger countermeasures. Now, the capital confirmed 3,177 COVID-19 cases, hitting a record for the second straight day and pushing up the nationwide tally to exceed the previous all-time high of 7,958 set on January 8th as hospitals come under increasing strain. And next, Pfizer data suggests that dose of COVID-19 vaccine strongly boosts protection against the Delta variant. A third dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine can strongly boost protection against the coronavirus Delta variant beyond the protection afforded by the standard 2 doses. New data released by Pfizer on Wednesday suggests that the antibody levels against the Delta variant in people ages 18 to 55 who receive a third dose of vaccine are far greater than 5-fold than those following the second dose. And that we come to the end of this segment. Thanks for staying with us on the Nation Update. I'm Elane, Noor, Abdullah. Kita jaga kita. Bye for now.